Welcome with Dr. Sarmila Sinha, who is a consultant psychiatrist who has had many years of experience in the NHS. Welcome back, Dr. Sinha. How are you this morning?
Yes, I'm fine. Nice to meet you, and thanks for having me.
That's all right. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Erica from Afternoon Tea with Docs. Welcome, everyone. And today's topic is the top 5 tips for managing relationship stress. Last time we spoke to you about the 4 C's for approach for stress management, which was really, really interesting. So for anyone who has missed that episode, please do go back and watch it. In your practice, Dr. Sinha, do you see many people who have stress related to relationships?
Yes, obviously. I think stress in relationship is one of the main triggers for depression, for anxiety. And the stress in relationship can be with personal relationships with your loved ones, or it can be with friends, work colleagues, clients. So, relationship issues can expand to as different scenarios. So, yeah, of course, relationship problems, whether it be at work or in a personal lives, can definitely be one of the triggers for mental health issues.
Yes, definitely. We have so many different types of relationships because whenever we are in contact with people, we're in relationship with them, whether it's a close or a distant relationship. So what sort of top tips do you give people with relationship stresses?
So, well, I've got lots of tips. If I have to choose the top 5, the first tip that would come to my mind is, um, don't rush into making your point heard. So, if you're having a discussion, if you're having a conversation, um, you would like to be heard, but this is the same with the other person. They would like to be heard as well. So, make time to listen. So, if you just try to slow down the pace and notice your tone of the voice and notice your body posture. So sometimes we have the communication style is to do with our verbal communication as well as the non-verbal. So we should pay attention to our non-verbal. How are we coming across? So sometimes just simple the tone of our voice can trigger an argument, can trigger a stressful reaction for the other person, and then they become defensive. So the first thing you have to do is to make sure that you're coming across as calm and composed. So last time I discussed the 4C approach to stress management, that is calm, clarity, choice, and change. So if you just take the first C, which is calm, so I would say if you are anticipating a difficult discussion with your loved one, the first thing to do is to calm yourself, ground yourself, take deep breaths, meditate, whatever it takes. So just and make an effort to listen. The next top tip would be to be kind, to be kind to yourself as well as to the other person, and try to make reasonable adjustments. So it's like trying to negotiate. So you need to be very skillful with your negotiation skills. So it'll come with practice, and this is where sometimes with very difficult relationship counseling works. And relationship counselors can often help you to do that. And the next tip is, I would say, is take time out for yourself. I think everybody needs some space in their relationship. And as much as you appreciate your own space, your loved ones will also appreciate if you allow them the space. So, say for instance, you've got a spouse or you've got a partner who loves to go golfing. Just you could give him a treat, book a ticket to a golf retreat, and you could go with him, or he could go with his friends. I mean, just surprise him with these kind of kind gestures, and then very soon he would reciprocate, he or she would reciprocate. So the fourth tip I would say is, when you're having a discussion, if you have an agenda, if you have a particular point that you want to discuss with your partner, and it's a sticking point. So if you start the conversation, I think it's the same rule with the relationship at work as well. Start with the good points, start with the positive points. So if you say that, for example, if you tell them, oh, well, I appreciate that you're helping me out with the housework, or I appreciate that you're doing a lot for me these days, or something like that. Start with a compliment. And then very gently, you can, if you have agenda, if you have something that you wanted to discuss, or it's a negative, or it could be a criticism, you could gently bring it down. So don't make criticism the highlight of the conversation, because everybody has good points and some negative points. So if we focus on the positives first in any discussion, I think it always goes off for a good start. And the last point is know when to pause a discussion. I think sometimes what happens is arguments happen and there's no outcome. And sometimes we have fights even with work colleagues, with our loved ones, and then there's no outcome. And these are very non-productive discussions. So I think if we know when to hit the pause button, if we know when to walk away from a conversation, we can take a time out. You could have a kind of an agreement with your loved one to say, look, if we start having an argument, if one of us feels they need a space, or just say, use a code word or a buzzword, and to say like maybe code, you could use it like I need a break, or I need some space. So then immediately you and your partner know that this is the time where you both of you need to leave each other alone, and then you can come back when you both are calm and grounded. So these are some of my tips.
Okay, so those are really great tips. So number one, staying calm and grounded. Number two, to be kind. And number three, taking time out and giving each other space. Number four, to start with the positives and not to make criticisms the highlight of the conversation. And number five, know when to pause. I just want to get into a couple of them a little bit more. The starting with the positives is so important, because very often we do, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, we're very quick to point out people's faults, but we don't really notice or give them credit when things go well. And it's important for us to start noticing the good things that people do around us and be grateful for those things. And that would calm our own anger and our own stresses as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, yeah.
As for knowing when to pause, I think that can be a bit difficult, because when you're in a heated conversation, and I think what I find is whenever you are you're in conversation with each other, and you want to get your point across, and people very often say, yes, but, and as soon as you say that but, it's almost like you haven't heard anything they've said, because you've been trying to get your own point across.
Yes, I think this also happens in workplaces. And sometimes our work environment can be very stressful as it is. We have a lot of work pressure. And on top of that, if we have a difficult colleague or a difficult client to deal with, then it just makes our job even more difficult. So I think if somebody is, or if we are anticipating that this is going to be a difficult conversation mentally, I think we should prepare for it ourselves. And we should take particular notice of our nonverbal communication styles.
Mm-hmm.
And we should also take things slowly, because this is from my experience. What I can tell you is that when the other person is also like charged up and very defensive, it doesn't matter how many good points you make, how many valid points you make. I think 90% of the information don't get registered, and it's almost like a waste of your time. So it's no point to discuss things with somebody when they are charged up, when they are heated up. So what we could just check with them is, shall we discuss this when we are a bit calmer? Or I think we will need to revisit this. Or you could take a rain check. You don't have to commit yourself. You don't even have to give excuses. You can, if it is a work environment, it's quite easy to get yourself out of the situation. You can just say, look, I've got an urgent telephone call to make. Can I come back to you? You know, you could make an excuse and just get away from that situation, because there's 90% of the time no positive outcome comes when both are charged up and heated, because it's all about being defensive. I'm right, you are wrong, you know, I have done so much and you have done nothing. It's always like a confrontational dialogue, and nothing comes. I think diplomacy and being, and to listen out is, I think, really one of the very important skills of a good leader, as well as a good communication style.
And you mentioned earlier about non-verbal body language. What advice do you have for our audience here about non-verbal body language?
I think very simple things like the tone. I think the most important we have to understand is the tone of our voice and the rate of our speech. Because if you're talking fast and you're charged up, the other person is going to know that you're not, even if you're saying very calm things, it's going to come across that you are either angry or that you're upset. So don't let the emotions, direct this conversation. I think we have to be in control of our emotional state when we are dealing with difficult conversations, because if we let emotions take over, then we have lost the plot, and we are not going to go anywhere, because either we are going to be angry or we're going to be upset, or sad. So let's not let the emotions get the better of us. So we have to learn to control them. And meditation really helps, and taking a few deep breaths and just practicing to be calm really helps. The other body language could be, especially if you're dealing with patients or clients, just note your body posture. Like if you're standing up and your patient is sitting down, and you might come across as being more authoritative, and you might come across as being, quite as if you are looking down upon them and not on the same plane. So if your patient is sitting, it is advisable that it's better that you also take a seat. So try to be on the same level with your client or patient. And the other things like clenching our fists, or putting our hands like this. These are all defensive postures. And as much as possible, try to keep the arms open, try to keep the hands open. And it just the body language is really important, that you are warm and you are welcoming and you're open to suggestions. So like a closed posture is more like you're not open to suggestions. So these are all, like, a lot of body language specialists have these are all taken from different body language specialists over the years. They've done research, and this is what they have said.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sinha, for this really valuable 15 minutes. I'm sure I've learned a lot from you, and I'm sure our audience have as well. And just to close off, well, we're here every Friday. I think we're here again next Friday at 9:30. And next time we'll be talking about stress at work. Specifically, and just wanted to take this opportunity as well to introduce our audience to the amazing stress management trainer course that you've put together through the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine, and we'll put the link to the course in the description below. So if you're interested, please do check it out, and it starts on the 18th of September. So just in a few weeks' time. So thank you, Dr. Sinha, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.